My wife told me she needed space, so I gave her exactly what she asked for by moving across the country, taking our dog and letting her discover what space really means. When she said it, she didn't even look up from her phone. That's what burned most. Not the words, not the tone, the indifference. Like she was just crossing an item off a to-do list. I need some space, Luke, Emma said, scrolling through Instagram, thumb moving like it was muscle memory. We'd been married 8 years. The first 3 were fire, passion, road trips, late night waffles in diners that never closed. The next 5, routine, comfortable, maybe too comfortable. What does that mean? I asked, keeping my voice calm. She sighed, finally setting her phone down. It means I need to figure out who I am outside of us. I wanted to laugh. Instead, I said, "You're not trapped, Em." "I know," she said, eyes soft but distant. "That's the problem. You make it too easy. You handle everything. The house, the bills, even planning our weekends. I just feel like I'm living your life." Her words hit me in waves. There wasn't anger in them, just a slow erosion of affection I hadn't noticed until it was gone. I'd seen signs, sure. Fewer texts during the day, fewer I love yous, more yoga classes that lasted a suspicious 3 hours. I'd told myself it was just stress. Now it was a confession. "So what are you saying?" I asked. "You want to separate?" "No," she said quickly. "Not exactly. Just space. Maybe a break. A few weeks. I can stay at my sister's. I just need to breathe." I wanted to scream, "What about me? What about the dog you begged me to adopt? What about all the damn bills with both our names on them?" Instead, I nodded. "Okay," she blinked, surprised. "Okay? Yeah, you want space? You got it." That night, she packed a small bag. Just clothes, her toothbrush, her laptop, not her wedding ring. She left it in the ceramic bowl by the door, the same one we dropped our keys in. The sound of metal hitting ceramic has haunted me ever since. The first week, the house felt like an echo. The coffee pot hissed, but no one drank from her favorite mug. The dog, Moose, followed me around, confused. He kept looking toward the door around 6 p.m., tail wagging, waiting for her to come home. "She's gone, buddy," I whispered. "At least for now." Work became my distraction. Spreadsheets, deadlines, emails, anything that kept me from checking her social media. But late nights always cracked me open. One scroll and there she was. Yoga poses at the park, wine nights with her sister, a new haircut captioned "New Energy." Meanwhile, I was microwaving leftovers and pretending Moose's company was enough. Then, 3 weeks in, she texted, "Hey, can we talk this weekend? I think we both need to figure out what's next." I stared at the message for a full minute. No heart emojis, no pet names, just business. "Sure," I typed back. "Saturday? Yeah, noon, at the house." She showed up in jeans and a white sweater that still smelled like the detergent we used. She smiled politely, the kind of smile you give a cashier. "Hey," she said softly. "Hey." We sat across from each other at the same kitchen table where she'd broken us open. "I've been thinking a lot," she started. "About us, about me, and I think I might need more time." "Time for what?" I asked. "To figure out if I'm still in this." That's when something inside me went still. Not angry, not heartbroken, just still. "You don't know if you're still in our marriage?" She swallowed. "I love you, Luke. I just don't know if I'm in love with you." It's such a cliche line, one you see in movies, not real life, but when it's said to you, it cuts deeper than anything. I nodded slowly. "Okay," she frowned. "Okay? Yeah, you need time, take it, but I won't wait forever." Her lips parted like she hadn't expected me to have limits. "I don't want to hurt you," she whispered. "Then don't," I said, standing up. "Go find your space." 2 days later, I did something that surprised even me. I called my boss and said, "I'm taking the remote offer." He blinked through the phone. "You mean the California branch?" "Yeah, I'm done here." I sold the house within a month, packed my life into a rented U-Haul, loaded Moose in the passenger seat, and left a note in the mailbox addressed to her. "You said you needed space. I figured 2,300 miles should be enough. The mortgage is paid off. I'll sign over my share. Take care of yourself." I didn't leave a forwarding address. The drive west felt like exhaling for the first time in years. Each mile pulled me further from her silence. I stopped in small towns, ate at diners, let Moose hang his head out the window. I didn't think about her, not in the way I used to. Not with longing, more like curiosity, like remembering a song you used to love but can't recall the lyrics to. By the time I reached San Diego, I was lighter. The ocean air burned clean through me. I rented a small apartment near the coast, started running again, joined a weekend hiking group, and built a life that didn't orbit around someone else's uncertainty. Moose and I found a rhythm. Morning walks on the beach, work from home, beers with new friends. I didn't post much online, but every now and then I saw her stories through mutuals. She looked the same, maybe a little lonelier. 6 months passed before I heard from her again. A voicemail. Her voice trembled. "Hey, I heard you moved. I thought you just needed time to cool off. I didn't think you'd actually go. I don't even know what to say. Just I miss you. And Moose, I hope you're okay." I listened to that message 3 times. Each time it hurt a little less, because the truth was, I was more than okay. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't living reactively. I wasn't someone's provider, planner, emotional safety net. I was just me. And the irony? The space she'd begged for had given me everything I didn't know I needed, but she wasn't done yet. 2 months later, she showed up at my door with a suitcase and a look that said she'd finally learned what space really feels like. When I opened the door that afternoon, I thought I was hallucinating. There she was, Emma, standing on my porch in California sunlight, hair shorter, tan lines faint on her arms, holding a silver suitcase and a carry-on bag that looked way too small for whatever she thought she was doing. Moose barked once, loud and startled, before his tail started going like a propeller. "Hey," she said softly, one hand twitching toward him, then falling to her side. I didn't move. "You're 3 states late." Her eyes listened, but she tried for a small smile. "You weren't kidding when you said you'd give me space." "Wasn't a joke," I said. She nodded, the wind tugging at a strand of her hair. "Can I come in?" I stepped aside. She wheeled the suitcase over the threshold, glanced around the apartment like it was a museum exhibit. My life without her. It was clean but lived in. A coffee table I'd built from reclaimed wood, surfboards leaning against the wall, Moose's toys scattered by the couch, no framed wedding photos, no trace of Ohio. You really left everything, she murmured. I left what wasn't working, I corrected. She looked at me like she wanted to argue, then sank onto the edge of the couch. Moose pressed his snout against her knee, whining softly. She scratched his head automatically, the old muscle memory still intact. You look different, she said after a minute. Better or worse? Free. That one landed like a gut punch. I'd spent months learning how to breathe without her shadow on my back, and now here she was, admiring it. What are you doing here, Emma? She took a deep breath. I needed to see you. You could have called. I did. You didn't call back because you didn't ask me to. She winced. I deserve that. I crossed my arms. Try again. She stared at her hands. I thought space would fix us. That I'd miss you. Remember why I fell in love with you. But the longer I was gone, the more I realized how much you held our life together. You made everything work, and without you, everything fell apart. So you came here to thank me for being your emotional janitor? Her head snapped up. No, I came here because I miss you. Because I made a mistake. Which part? Leaving? Or expecting me to still be waiting? Her eyes brimmed with tears. She tried to blink away. Both. There are moments in life that test whatever spine you built. For years, I'd folded whenever she needed me to. I was the fixer, the planner, the guy who cleaned up messes quietly and efficiently. But something about standing there, hearing her say she missed me like she was returning a library book, made something inside me stay still. You don't get to drop a grenade in our marriage and then knock on my door because the smoke got inconvenient, I said quietly. She flinched, then nodded. You're right. For a moment, we just sat there, the hum of the ceiling fan filling the silence. Then she said, can I stay here tonight? Just one night. I don't have a hotel. Yeah, I said finally. Couch only. I didn't expect a bed, she said, but her cheeks flushed anyway. That night was quiet. I made pasta. She offered to help, and I told her no. She watched me boil noodles, slice vegetables, feed Moose from scraps of chicken. It felt normal, painfully normal, like the world was pretending nothing had happened. At dinner, she said, this is really good. Thanks. You've gotten better at cooking. I shrugged. Had to feed myself somehow. She poked at her plate. You've really built a life here. Yeah. With anyone? The question hung there barbed. I met her eyes. Why? Hoping I say no. I just want to know. I've dated, I said simply. Nothing serious. Her expression flickered. Hurt, jealousy, regret. A cocktail of emotions she tried to hide behind a tight smile. That's good, she said. No, I said. It's honest. After dinner, she insisted on walking Moose with me. We strolled down the boardwalk, the Pacific wind whipping our faces. The sky was a painting, orange melting into purple. She sighed. It's beautiful here. It is. I see why you stayed. I nodded. Yeah, it's easier to breathe here. She looked at me for a long time before whispering, do you ever think about us? Sometimes, I said. When I'm paying bills alone or when Moose barks at nothing at night. Her laugh was soft, sad. I think about us every day. Then why'd you throw it away? Her lip trembled. Because I was stupid. Because I thought comfort meant boredom. Because I wanted to feel something new and forgot that new doesn't mean better. Did you meet someone? I asked, not out of jealousy, but curiosity. She hesitated, then nodded slowly. For a few months, it wasn't serious. I thought it was at the time, but it was just noise. He made me feel young again, excited, but it wasn't real. I swallowed hard. So you left me to chase a spark. I left you because I thought I'd lost mine. We stopped walking. The ocean roared behind us. Emma, I said, do you know what it felt like when you said you needed space? She looked up. I know now. No, you don't, I said. You thought I'd wait. You thought I'd stay frozen until you decided you were ready to love me again. You didn't want space. You wanted a safety net. Tears spilled down her cheeks. You're right. I took a deep breath. The hardest part wasn't losing you. It was realizing I'd built a life around someone who could leave so easily. She covered her face, shoulders shaking. For a moment, I almost reached out. Old reflex, but I stopped myself. Come on, I said softly. Let's go home. Back at the apartment, she fell asleep on the couch. I covered her with a blanket, turned off the lights, and stood there for a long time watching her breathe. Moose curled up beside her, sighing like he'd finally found peace. I envied him. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of coffee. She was in the kitchen wearing one of my t-shirts, humming. Morning, she said, like it was any other day. I leaned against the counter. You cooking breakfast now? She smiled nervously. I figured it was the least I could do. I took the mug she handed me. You planning to leave after? She hesitated. I was hoping we could talk more. About what? About us. I sighed. Emma, there's no us. Not right now. She bit her lip. Could there be? I set the mug down. What do you want me to say? That I'll forget the months you disappeared? That I'll pretend I didn't sleep alone every night wondering what I did wrong? Her voice cracked. I don't want you to forget. I just want a chance to make it right. Why now? Because when I saw you in the pictures your coworker posted, laughing, surfing, living, I realized you'd found the peace I was looking for. And it killed me. Because I thought I was the one who needed to find herself. But it turns out you were the one who did. I looked at her for a long time. She wasn't lying. That was the worst part. The raw honesty of it. I don't hate you, Emma, I said finally. But I can't go back. Her chin quivered. Even if I've changed, people don't change that fast. They just regret slowly. She stayed 2 more days. We didn't fight. We didn't kiss. We just coexisted, like ghosts haunting the same house, unsure which of us belonged. Before she left, she stood in the doorway, suitcase in hand. Are you sure this is what you want? She asked. I'm sure this is what I need, I said. She nodded, tears streaking her face. I'll always love you, Luke. Then love me enough to let me go. She reached up to touch my face, stopped halfway, then dropped her hand. Goodbye. When the door closed, it was quieter than I expected. Moose whimpered, pressing against my leg. She'll be okay, I said softly, though I wasn't sure if I meant her or me. Months passed. Seasons shifted. She texted twice, once on my birthday, once on Christmas. Both times, I replied politely but briefly. No nostalgia. No open doors. I dated casually. Nothing stuck, but I was okay with that. For the first time in my life, solitude wasn't punishment. It was peace. Then, one Sunday morning, a letter arrived, handwritten, from her. It wasn't long. Luke, I know I'm not the love of your life. I think I was a lesson. You taught me what stability feels like, what kindness costs, And what happens when someone confuses calm for emptiness? Hope you find someone who never asks for space, because she'll already know what it means to breathe beside you. I'm moving overseas for a while. Don't worry about me. I finally know who I am. Emma. I folded the letter carefully and tucked it into a drawer. Not because I wanted to remember her, but because some lessons deserve a place in your story, just not the ending. That night, I took Moose down to the beach. The waves were gentle, the sky bruised with sunset. I threw a stick. He chased it, splashing through the surf. When he came back, soaking wet and grinning, I knelt beside him and whispered, "We did it, buddy. We really did it." He barked once, as if agreeing. I looked out at the horizon and smiled. Space. It turned out wasn't distance. It was freedom. 3 years later, she showed up in my dreams before she showed up in real life. It was one of those dreams that feel so mundane you don't know it's a dream until you wake up. She was sitting at our old kitchen table back in Ohio, stirring her coffee, smiling at me like the years hadn't happened. Then the alarm went off, and I woke up to my small, sun-bleached apartment in San Diego, the smell of salt and old wood in the air, and Moose snoring at my feet. Life had gotten very simple by then. I'd built a small renovation business, mostly restoring beach cottages for retired couples. I liked the work. It was quiet, precise, full of small victories. The neighbors waved. The morning started with coffee and ended with salt on my skin. I didn't think about Emma much anymore. When I did, it was like remembering a book I'd read once and liked but never needed to reread. That afternoon, I was walking home from a job site when a voice called my name. I turned and there she was, standing beside a rental car with the same half smile that used to undo me. Her hair was shorter again, silver strands glinting in the light. She looked good, older, steadier. She was holding an envelope. "Hey, Luke," she said. It was the first time I'd heard her voice in 3 years. I didn't say anything for a full 10 seconds. She held out the envelope. "I sold the house back home. There was still your name on some of the papers. I wanted to bring you your share. I took it. You could have mailed it." "I could have," she said, "but I wanted to see you." We stood there while the Pacific rolled behind us, gulls screaming, the air thick with everything unsaid. "Walk with me?" she asked. I nodded, mostly out of curiosity. We walked along the sand until the tide nipped our shoes. She told me about the last few years, the move overseas, a job teaching yoga on the coast of Portugal, the small apartment she'd found above a bakery that smelled like sugar and rain. She'd come back because her mother was sick, because Ohio still had her name on too many documents, because unfinished business has a way of following you. When she asked about me, I told her the truth. I work, I surf sometimes. Moose is still my best friend. I'm happy. Her eyes softened. I always hoped you'd say that. We stopped by a driftwood log, sat down. The envelope sat between us. She looked at it, then at me. "You were right," she said, "back then, about the difference between space and running away." I didn't answer. "I thought I needed to escape you," she continued, "but I really needed to escape who I was with you. I didn't know how to grow inside a life that was already so safe. And when I finally figured out who I was, it was too late." "You figured it out, though," I said. She smiled faintly. "Yeah, it turns out you can't learn peace until you stop making other people pay for your confusion." I laughed under my breath. "That's a hell of a lesson. Expensive one," she said. We sat there until the sun started to drop. Then she stood, brushed sand off her jeans. "I should go." "Where?" "Back to my mom's. Maybe back overseas." "I don't know yet." "Good luck," I said. It wasn't cold, just final. She hesitated. "Do you ever think we could have made it if I'd come back sooner?" I looked out at the water, at the dog chasing a stick down the beach, at the light catching on the waves like 1,000 tiny mirrors. "No," I said, "because the version of me who would have taken you back doesn't exist anymore." She nodded slowly, like she'd known that answer before she asked the question. She stepped forward, kissed my cheek, whispered, "I'm proud of you," and walked away. I stood there a long time after she disappeared down the road, the envelope still in my hand. When I opened it later that night, there was a check and a note. "For the life you helped build, even if I walked out of it, use it for something that makes you happy." I used the money to buy a small plot of land, inland, a place with wildflowers and quiet, where Moose could run free and I could build something with my own hands. It wasn't much, but it was mine. A year later, I met someone. Not a grand love story, just a kind woman named Nina, who ran a coffee shop and laughed with her whole body. She didn't ask for space. She gave it naturally, like breathing. When I told her about Emma once, she listened and said, "That sounds like it taught you what love isn't," and that was enough. Sometimes, on foggy mornings, I walk the beach where Emma and I talked that last time. The ocean hasn't changed. It still pulls everything back to shore eventually. I like to think that's what happened to both of us. We drifted far, but we found our own shores. She taught me that love can't survive when one person is trying to find themselves and the other is just trying to hold the map. I taught myself that peace isn't something you find through someone else. It's what's left when you finally stop searching. Moose is older now, slower, but he still runs circles when I grab his leash. We walk the edge of the water, footprints side by side, and I realize this is what space really is. Not absence, not punishment, but room to breathe and still belong somewhere. And when the sun sets, burning gold over the horizon, I whisper to the wind, half joking, half grateful, "You were right. M space was what we both needed." Then I turned toward home.